My dear Patterns of Possibility listeners, I want to let you know that I really do appreciate you listening to this podcast. Your listenership means a lot to me. And this podcast is my sincere gift to you. And maybe you'd like to take action on reciprocating this gift. If you would, I'll mention a few things that are pretty helpful to me in the creation of this podcast. One thing that you could do is rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Make sure to give it 5 stars. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Also, another thing that you can do to support my efforts is to sign up at my email list at Patterns of Possibility. When you sign up, you'll receive actionable steps to making meaningful connections. We talk about everything from people pleasing to ghosting, socializing do's and don'ts, compliments, one-sided friendships, and everything in between. So if you'd like support on making more meaningful connections with your friends and family or businesses and coworkers, sign up. Another thing that you could do is follow me on social media. I'm looking at TikTok in particular because I'm there all of the time. I'm on the road to reach 10,000 followers so that I can live stream some of my workshops. It'd be really helpful, and it would help me bring these opportunities to you for free. The last thing that I can recommend that you do is if you like this podcast and you know of someone who might enjoy it, please share it with that person. Share it with a friend. It really does go a long way. With that said, once again, your listenership means a whole lot to me. Thank you so much for your support. Do you want meaningful relationships in 2024? Then become the best version of yourself at the Love Yourself First 3-day conference. This virtual event is happening February 9th, 10th, and 11th. We are going to show you powerful self-love techniques to set boundaries, leave toxic relationships, make new friends, and much, much more. This year, start making meaningful relationships that will last a lifetime. Love yourself first. Go to patternsofpossibility/events to get your tickets now. What's going on? My name's Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about what it means to love yourself first. Of course, you know that there's a conference coming up in just a couple of days. And before this conference, I want to talk about what it really means to love yourself first. Because I've heard this, and maybe you've heard this too. You're not making the great relationships that you could because you didn't love yourself first. Or you can't be with someone, you can't love anybody else until you love yourself first. I've heard that trope many times growing up, and I was like, can somebody please tell me what it means to love yourself first and stop telling me that I'm not doing it and help me understand how to do it. But unfortunately, it didn't happen for me. I had to go figure that on my own. That was a painful experience. And I want to help you not have such a painful experience discovering this fundamental key in making meaningful relationships in your personal and professional life. Are you ready? Let's go. Now, this episode is going to be raw and it's going to be real, just like any other episode, honestly. It's not going to be any different than any other episode. I always talk about my own experiences, and I tell you, this one is really frustrating for me, the idea of loving yourself first, because it seemed like when people would say this to me, they would say it to me as if I should have known better. Essentially, those are the same words that come with love yourself first. You should know better. Why did you deal with this relationship or were you in this connection with people who didn't treat you well, who used you, who hurt you, who made fun of you? Why did you stay with those people? Essentially, when I hear you need to love yourself first, it sounds exactly like a criticism or a judgment against me. Because if I had loved myself first, I would be capable of spotting those people who weren't good actors, people who meant to do me harm or people who would do me harm. I'd be able to spot those people and I'd be able to protect myself rather than having empathy and understanding of I had no idea what it meant to love myself. It seemed like I was being judged. So I certainly had felt for many years a mix of shame and sadness and anger when I heard you need to love yourself first. Like RuPaul, as much as I like RuPaul's Drag Race, when they say, how you going to love yourself? Or how you going to love anybody if you can't love yourself? They say something along those lines. RuPaul says something along those lines. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? I think that's what it is. And I was like, okay, but I don't even know what it means. Like, can I get some help in understanding? It's a trope that floats around in society. And it puts the blame on you for not knowing essentially how to quote unquote love yourself. And I want to demystify it so that you don't feel this mix of shame for not knowing, maybe sadness for being told that you should know, or even anger because nobody has told you exactly how to do it. Because those are all the things that I felt. I felt all of those things as soon as Love Yourself First comes up. And that's part of the reason why I started my conference. That is the reason actually why I started my conference, is to put some clarity around that. Because loving yourself first is the absolute key to making more meaningful connections. And what love is, we're going to have to define a few things here. Love, for me, and for the sake of this podcast and all the interactions that we have, love means to understand. That's simply it. And I think a lot of people get love confused and mixed up with the happiness and excitement, and joy and unconditional love, and they say those things like that, but that doesn't really hit. It doesn't really hit for me. When you break it out, love is understanding, and there's joy in understanding something. There's joy in understanding how people are going to be, what they're going to say. There's joy in a bit of predictability and comprehension. Just think about how frustrated you are with people who you cannot understand. Whether they're speaking a different language, they're doing actions and behaviors that you don't quite understand or condone. It's frustrating for you. What if you're watching a TV show and you can't quite understand what's going on, the plot, you're not interested, you're not excited with it? There's no love for that. And what I mean by love is simply, again, understanding. I don't understand why the characters would do what they do. I don't understand the storyline, the plot, and it's the same with these humans that you run into on a daily basis. I don't understand why they would say the things that they do to me. I don't understand why they would treat me the way they do. I don't understand why they won't sit down and listen to me. That doesn't foster a sense of love. You don't understand. But as soon as you gain understanding for the people that you are connected with, understanding as why they say what they say, why they do what they do, their history, their background, those things, once you understand those things about them, you feel a sense of love. You feel a sense of like, oh, I get you. I get you. I understand you. I appreciate you. And from that understanding, there is the love and there is the joy and excitement. I'm excited that I know you and it feels good to know you. It feels good to have the same kind of experiences. It feels good that you are going to be predictable in your treatment of me. It does. And so that's what I say love yourself first means, or love is understanding. And so if we look at this and we talk about loving yourself first, it's really meaning to understand yourself. I understand who I am. I understand what I want. I understand what's important and interesting to me. So I'm not going out there expecting other people to know what I don't know. This is what happens when you don't love yourself first. You go out there and expect people to get you, to understand you, to appreciate you, to know you, when you don't do those things for yourself. You don't know why you get upset. You don't know why you get upset. You don't know why you raise your voice. You don't know why you're crying. You don't know what makes you happy. You don't know what makes you satisfied. You don't know what you're looking for in your life, your needs, your wants, your wishes, your hopes, desires. You have no idea what those things are. Therefore, you do not understand you. And what we do when we don't understand ourselves is we go out there hoping that somebody else will tell us who we are, hoping that they will understand us. But we don't get it. We don't get it. We don't get ourselves. And so they'll try, like I did quite often with my relationships, is I would try to be something that other people wanted without knowing what I really wanted. And I would be upset because I was hoping that if I would be something that they liked, then I would be happy. But I didn't even understand why I did one of those things. I didn't even understand why I did what I did. So loving yourself first means that you understand yourself. Just so we're on a level set, we understand where it's not complicated for us here. I understand myself. So when you say love yourself first, what those people meant to say to me years upon years ago is like, you need to understand what's important and interesting to you. You need to understand why you do what you do. You need to understand your wants, needs, and desires. That is loving yourself. It is not essentially going to a spa, not getting your nails done, not just taking a day off work. Loving yourself is understanding why you do those things, how it feels to you for doing those things when you do those things, what's important and satisfactory about doing those things for you. That's what loving yourself really means. And so with this Love Yourself First conference, a lot of people are in the position in which they don't know what it means to love themselves. Now that we got the definition, but how do we get to understand more about who we are? What's important to me? How do you discover those things? Because that was one of the big questions that I constantly asked. Like, okay, I hear you saying I need to love myself, but how? Tell me right now, how do I do it? What is it that I need to do? And many people could not give me the answer. They said, just look around, just do it. Like, I'm thinking, when I looked around, I was like, well, everybody else, I guess, is doing it. I just don't seem to know how to do it, and nobody's willing to tell me because it's something that's so obvious. I must just be an idiot. I'm just so stupid. And I felt so much shame about that. But then some years later, I'd realized that those people who couldn't tell me to do it just knew that it was something that needed to be done, but they didn't know how to do it themselves. And I think that's fascinating. But I want to tell you exactly how to do it, how to make those meaningful connections, how to love yourself first. And this is what we're going to do at the Love Yourself First conference. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have coaches. We're going to have people talking about really actionable steps and what it means to love yourself first. How do you know more about who you are? What are the important things that you need to discover so that you can share with other people? I'm telling you, this is the fundamental key to connecting with anybody. Don't be going out there in those streets saying, hey, I want a friend. I want a friend. People are going to bring you their own brand of friendship. And if you don't know what brand of friendship that you want, you're going to see the first person that comes along and you're going to be like, oh, looks like that's a friend. I'm going to keep you forever. and they're going to treat you the way they want to treat you, and you have no idea what it is that you really want from them. You can't articulate it from them. You just find yourself angry and frustrated, and they're also going to be angry and frustrated because they're bringing you their brand of friendship. You never specified. You just accepted what came along because you were afraid to be alone. This is what happens when you do not understand what you want. You will just accept anything. You'll just accept anything. And I know because I've done this for years upon years upon years. It's just not a good place to be. So if you're tired of, trying to find people who understand and appreciate you, one thing that you might want to do is start understanding exactly what it is that you want. Forming the language to be able to tell people what it is that you want. And if you do not get what you want from said person that you've expressed your desires and needs to, you have to be able to let those people go. Loving yourself first includes all of that. I'll be right back with the answer Reddit question. Are you tired of being around people who just don't get you? Have you been putting yourself out there but not able to find anybody that matches your vibe? You're not alone. Making friends, especially as an adult, is hard. My name's Coach Lee. I'm a social connections coach, and I want to help you find your tribe. I have a 3-step coaching program for groups and individuals that's designed to help you get to the right place, to meet the right people, to have the right kind of conversations that leave you feeling fulfilled, appreciated, and understood. After going through the Find Your Tribe coaching program, you'll discover who it is that you really want to be connected to, how to find those people, and what you need to talk about so that your relationship moves from an acquaintanceship to a close friendship. And with this program, you won't be on this journey alone. You'll have access to a private community in which there are others who are just as intentional about making the kind of connections you are. You'll also have access to live events like weekly Q&As, speed friending, and much more. You'll be able to practice your skills in a safe environment and feel confident to connect authentically when you get out into the real world. If you're ready to get started on making meaningful connections and lasting relationships, then apply to the coaching program by using the link in the show notes. All right, now it's time for the Reddit friendship advice question. If you have a friendship advice question that you think I should answer, tag me in it on Reddit. My handle is Brilliant and Resilient. That's Brilliant, the letter N, Resilient. Why is it so hard to make friends as an adult? I've tried making friends with other women and it's not going well. I've met women at random places and at places I've worked. I'd be like, let's go get coffee or lunch sometimes. They mostly respond with, I'm busy or I have plans already. And as a woman, I know what that means. Because if someone was really interested in hanging out, they would be like, let's do it another time, or maybe this Saturday, or something like that. But if you're constantly the one reaching out and they're not interested, that calls for pause. My rule is, if that happens, or if they take forever to respond in like a day, or decline hanging out twice, then I'm done. But over the past few days, I've been actively seeking out local women to make friends. Even on an app like Bumble BFF, where women are seeking out other female friends, and it's the same results. I don't get those connections. I keep trying to have conversations, but people don't respond for days. So that was the end of it. They didn't ask a question. The title was a question. Why is it so hard to make friends as an adult? And what the heck does this have to do with loving yourself first? That other piece was mine. The loving yourself first piece was my thing. But I really like what they're saying here. It's really difficult to make friends because essentially people aren't prioritizing it. But what I like about what they're saying is that they know what it is that they want and what they're willing to tolerate. The tolerance level for connecting with people. And I picked this one because I certainly relate to it as far as my own adventures. This person is on Bumble BFF, and so am I. I'm actually out there making connections with people. I'm trying all the things that I suggest that you do so that I can understand what you're going through. I don't think it's fair of me to say, hey, just do this and talk about that and see how people respond to you. Well, it's true that you want to test and check people to see if they're interested in the same things that you're interested in. I know it's not that easy. I'm getting to discover that it's not that easy, because my own experience with Bumble BFF is that I'm reaching out to people, and they're all mostly, the people that I swipe through are mostly gay men. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are you here? Okay, now listen, wait. Before I sound all homophobic and so forth, it's not about that per se. Why are they here? I'm a part of the LGBTQ community as well. It's just that I've seen so many who have these profiles that seem that they're looking for more than just, hanging out, just being friends. They're looking to do something else. They're looking to smash. They're looking to connect. There's one guy with their profile with their shirt off, and they're just running with their nipple rings just bouncing up and down, and I can't forget that. I can't forget that. Like, why? What are you doing here? That's not an appropriate picture for a person who just wants to be a friend. So that's one of the hurdles that I've uncovered. So I'm clearly knowing what I'm looking for, and I swipe left on those kind of people. But it's a bit discouraging, because you do want to connect. Aren't we all on using this app for the same thing? And then I did connect with someone who seemed like they were genuinely interested in me. And they said that, they weren't interested in actually meeting. Just after a few exchanges, I discovered this, because my goal, because I know what I'm looking for, my goal is to meet people in person. So we should just only have a few exchanges. Your profile should be filled out enough. I should see enough pictures of you. I should get an idea of what it is that you want to do with your life, or how you're going to show up to me. And then I can get to meet you in person. But they had said that when I suggested let's meet in person after a few exchanges, they had said, sure, after I get to know you a little better. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because I wonder what else you need to know about me. So I shared that information with them. I asked them, well, okay, I understand completely. What is it that you need to know about me that would make it feel comfortable for you to meet me in person? What is it? And their response was, they have social anxiety, and they're not really sure about meeting people. I was like, okay, all right. Well, there's my answer right there. We can no longer talk to each other. We can't talk to each other. I thank them for their time. I thank them for being honest with their thoughtful message, but we're not talking to each other, because my goal is to connect with people outside of this app. And clearly you want to just continue to talk to people on this app. That's not what I'm interested in doing. Thank you very much. Let's call it a day. I share this with you because I think it is the equivalent of loving yourself, understanding exactly what it is that you want and how you're going to behave in these situations that come about. If somebody comes along to you with you and says, I'm not going to give you what you want, I'm going to give you what I want you to get, how are you going to behave? Do you understand enough about yourself to know that you'll be okay without that person, without those things, because there is somebody else in the world who's going to give you exactly what it is that you're looking for? I'm not settling for that. I'm not settling for that. So this person who had wrote, why is it so hard to make friends as an adult? Because people don't prioritize. People aren't honest with themselves. People don't love themselves first. They don't understand what it is that they're looking for in the first place. They might just want your attention. They have their own insecurities. Whatever is going on with them, that's what makes it difficult. But see, the thing is once you understand more about you, what you're looking for, like here you had said, and I love this piece where you had said, if they're not responding, if they take time to take forever to respond, like a day or so, or if they decline hanging out twice, I'm done. You don't chase after people who don't want to give you the thing that you need. You don't do it because you clearly know what it is you're looking for. You understand how you be in situations when you don't get what it is that you're looking for. If you settle, essentially, you understand. You know that it's not feeling good. It's not right. It isn't fit for you, and so you don't do it. You don't do it. Understanding more about you and what it is that you want from other people and being able to clearly articulate that is going to make you the best friendships. It does take time. It takes time and attention. And the faster you are sorting out these people who can't meet your needs or not interested in the things that you're interested in, then the better off you're going to be. Loving yourself or understanding yourself is key to making those meaningful connections. So it's hard to make friends just because a lot of people don't know what it is that they want, and they expect you to fulfill some need that they don't know that they have. They want your time and attention. And if you protect that, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to make friendships. You're going to move away from those people who intend to drain you and find people who will fulfill you. Redditor, thank you so much for asking your question. I know that you didn't ask me to answer it, but I did, and I hope that it helps. Best of luck to you. Take care. My name is Coach Lee Hopkins, and you have been listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com and on all social media at Patterns of Possibility. And as always, I want to encourage you to be yourself, live your truth, and there you'll make lasting friendships.